Welcome back to another episode of Michael's Corner, where we empower the average person with the hints, tips, tricks, and insights to the real estate world. Now today what we're going to be talking about is common conditions that you're likely to come across in an agreement, and we're also going to touch on a few of the less common ones that you may see. So let's jump right into it here. First and foremost, the most common one you're going to find is the financing condition. Now, this is not to be mistaken with getting pre-approved. A pre-approval will tell you roughly how much the bank is willing to lend to you. However, when it comes to that individual property, many banks have certain stipulations on the types of homes they will and will not fund. So we need to allow a certain amount of time, roughly about 10 days or so from accepted agreement, to allow your bank to review and possibly send out a home appraiser to make sure you're not drastically overpaying for this home. Now, the number two most common condition is a home inspection. And this should go without saying. The home inspection is there to protect you. So you want to hire a licensed professional, and they will bring out all the gizmos and gadgets that can look through the walls and give off heat signatures. It's really cool stuff what they will do. And they're there to protect you and make you aware of any potential problems that are coming up and if you're comfortable with them or not. Number three is if you're looking at a condo, there's a condo doc review question. And this is probably the most commonly glossed over one we see. Okay, now again, I recommend hiring a lawyer or a specialized condo document review service. It has saved my clients, in many cases, tens of thousands of dollars. So what the condo doc review is, they will go through the minutes from all the AGMs, any subsequent meetings, the financials, make sure the reserve funds and everything are up to date. What's the expected income? Are there any special assessments coming? Nothing worse than moving into a property and finding out a week later that, hey, guess what? You're on the hook for $20,000. So absolutely spend a couple $100 it takes to get the lawyer or a specialist to review those documents, as they can alert you to any potential problems coming down the road with that regard. The fourth most common one you're going to come across is the subject to sale. Okay. Now what that means is, let's say you found the home that you want to buy, but you need to pull the proceeds out of your current home, and a HELOC or a line of credit just isn't an option for you. You don't want to carry two mortgages. Not a problem. Most people fit into this category. So a safe way to proceed in the new purchase is to put a condition in there called the subject to the sale of your home. And what that means is this agreement is locked in with the condition date, usually 30 to 90 days most common, though that number is obviously negotiable in the agreement. So for 30 to 90 days, that's your window to sell your current property to move forward on the one you want to buy. Okay. Now attached to that is the 48-hour clause, which is the most common, but it can be, I've seen as low as 24 hours. I've seen as high as 72 business hours. And the idea is, let's say the seller accepts your offer today, but tomorrow they get an offer that's just as good without that condition, that these people can move forward in 10 days and not 3 months. Well, obviously the seller is going to want to take that one. So they're going to trigger this, let's assume 48-hour clause, which means you now have 48 hours to either waive that condition, firm up the deal, and move forward even without selling your home, or you can step aside and they can take that backup offer. And obviously that's based on your situation, and everybody's a little different on that. Right? But it is the most commonly misunderstood one that I come across because people don't appreciate how that clause works. Right? It's strictly there to protect the seller, that they don't tie up the home for 3 months at a time while having to turn away other better offers. Okay. Now, there's also, if you're looking in country residential, acreages, things like that, there's a few other ones you're going to find on there. Water systems, septic systems, country residential property schedules, as well as subdivision plans. Now, we're not going to get into that here. Frankly, acreages are a beast of their own, and we're actually going to save that for a future video. But there's 4 others that you can expect quite commonly on the acreages. So now, moving on to some of the less common conditions and clauses that you can find. And remember, there may be standard ones, but you can always customize these to suit your needs. Now, that's no saying that the seller is going to accept any of these. However, you can absolutely set this up so that you are 100% dialed in for your situation. So some of the less common ones: quotes from trades. let's say you're looking at a fixer-upper and you haven't done this before, you want to make sure, you can put in a condition stating that you want typically about 10 days again, time to allow some contractors come in, and as long as those quotes are satisfactory to what you had in mind, that is there to again protect you on that front. Now, there's also things like getting approval for encroachments. Let's say there's issues with the RPR or issues with a neighbor and fence lines and things like that. You can put a condition in there that those need to be satisfied before you move forward with the agreement, again, to try and protect yourself. There's also some scenarios where bylaws can come into play, so you want to check those out. Not very common, but they do exist out there, so it's nice to be able to give yourself the window to make sure everything is on the up and up and as you believe. You also, in some cases, you may ask for a confirmation that the property was not a former grow-up. Right, now, legally, the listing agent has to disclose that, but sometimes that knowledge isn't always passed on as homeowners change. So you want that kind of confirmation, and again, your home inspector should be able to can sometimes find trace elements of that if it wasn't remediated properly. Another common one is getting a specialist in there for more unique items, right? There's certain parts of the city where we have a lot of wood foundations. Right? Now, most of Calgary is very familiar with concrete stuff, and wood foundations can scare a lot of people. Now, reality is everybody's got their own opinion on that, and I'm not going to touch on that right now. However, let's say you do find yourself looking at a property with a wood foundation. You absolutely want to get an engineer in there specifically to look at that wood foundation, because a home inspector is not going to be able to, this is a very specialized field, and you want to make sure you have that clause in there to protect yourself. Because again, this is something that can lead to dramatic or catastrophic damages down the road. So, I do hope you found all of that informative. If you've made it this far, please be sure to leave a like on the video and comment below on topics you would like to see in the future. We keep a close eye on these things, so if there's anything you want us to cover and break down for you, comment below and we'll absolutely do our best to get to that in the future. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and always make sure you have somebody looking out for your interest. Bye for now.